Hello and good afternoon. This is Travis Clardy, President and CEO of the Texas Healthcare Association, coming to you from beautiful Nacogdoches, Texas, at the site of the Willowbrook Nursing Home. And it's great to be here. These are wonderful folks. I've known them for years. They're a member of the HMG group, proud members of the Texas Healthcare Association. And I want to thank them and Jimmy Saunders, the administrator, standing out here. If you see any whiz past my head, that's Jimmy throwing bottles or tomatoes at me. But gracious enough to host us so we can talk about what's going on in your Texas legislature as we roll into this session. So again, thank you for joining us. We will be taking this and cutting and pasting and putting this up on other social media and make this available online. We'll archive this as part of our site. But the purpose of these calls as your THCA president is to make sure we're communicating with our members, with our folks out there, and keep you updated as to what we're doing, what our goals are, the direction we're headed. And so that's what we're doing. But I thought it'd be appropriate, though, that this is our second one. Session started last Tuesday, and we had a little video from that. But I thought it'd be time to time go on the road and do some things. So I'm sitting outside of the Willowbrook Nursing Center while my mother actually spent the last few months of her life and was very well treated here, had a really wonderful experience. People here were so kind and loving, and I know that's not just here, that's really reflective of all of our members and all of the facilities that I'm honored to represent as your president of the THCA. So this place has a special meaning, place in my heart, and it's wonderful folks, wonderful people, and they give just outstanding care. So that's who we are, that's what we're about, and I'm very proud to be part of it. But let's go ahead and jump into where we are. We're not going to go long. I am sitting outside rather than being in the facility. Like a lot of folks, we've been coughing and hacking. So if I go off screen to have a little coughing fit, well, that's because I've caught what everybody else seems to have, and going into the chest and lungs. Judy, my very able assistant, wife, and the first lady of the THCA is here with me. So we're both ailing, but on the mend. So I thought it'd be better, and out of respect for our residents, not to expose them to anything that we may have. We're on antibiotics. I don't think we're contagious, but let's all be careful out there. Let's don't take any chances when it comes to the health and the well-being of the people that we are honored to serve. So beautiful day outside here, sun shining brightly. It's going to be a great weekend, great Friday. Hope you've had a great week. It's been an interesting week in politics. This was the inauguration week in Washington, D.C., so that postponed some things in the Texas legislature. What we did when they returned and went back on the floor, the House reconvened and went through the process of going through the rules. In the Texas House, there's like there are in court, there's rules of procedure. Well, there's rules of the House that the members adopt to prepare their own, and most of them are continued from past legislative sessions. But there's always some tweaks and changes, and so certainly when you have a new speaker, and right now we're happy to be served by Speaker Dustin Burrows is our Speaker of the Texas House from Lubbock. He was elected last week. He presided, and they adopted rules in House Resolution 4, which are going to govern the conduct of the members and how the proceedings go forth. Big change that was enacted is really a change, a shift from what has been traditional in Texas, and that is more of a bipartisan approach where there's chairman of committees, 30-something committees, and most of them by the majority party, the Republicans. There's an 88-62 split in the Texas House, Republican to Democrat. And historically, when the Democrats had been in power of the Texas House, and then later during my service, when the Republicans were in power, the chairmanships were basically reflected in a pro rata basis. Decision was made by the members, and the rules were voted on where from going forward, you will only see Republican chairman of those committees. The Democrats will serve in the role of vice chairman. Again, I think that's a good workable solution, and they will work on these issues. Now, the other thing that did happen, some of the committees were eliminated, just a handful, and some were joined, and some standing subcommittees were created. All that's important, but for our purposes, for the THCA, particularly with the health issues, the things that are important and really relevant to our business, those committees were not affected. So we will continue to see public health in the House, and we continue to see Health and Human Services in those standing committees, and we're looking forward to see who will be designated or tapped to serve as chairs of those committees, who the other members will be, because they will make important decisions for us and how we deal with our agency, the HHSC, and the regulations that are promulgated for them to use and to utilize, and their rulemaking authority. And of course, the other thing we always would pay attention to is the budget. Our House Appropriations and the Senate Finance Committee will hear. The draft budgets were put out by the House and the Senate this week, and I will tell you, it's we're about 10 days in, whatever it is now. But right now I'm cautiously optimistic by the way the budget looks, and folks, we really should be. We're returning back to the session with somewhere around a $24 billion with a B budget surplus projected by Comptroller Hager. And that's in addition to other funds that are there, most notably the Rainy Day Fund or the Emergency Stabilization Fund, which now has completely filled and is by operation of law flowing into general revenue. So I think the balance there is somewhere in that nearly that same neighborhood, around $22 billion with a B, of money that's put aside for special needs or purposes, not to be spent willy-nilly, but to be put to use for the people of Texas. So we're really anxious and very keen on what decisions are made there, but that's yet to be come. Right now, committees have not been formed. They're not having hearings. I guess the big news this week outside of Austin, other than them coming back, getting rules and going back home, was that there was a little event in Washington, D.C. called an inauguration. So we now have not President-elect Trump, or former President Trump. We now have President Trump back in office, and they're moving quickly by way of executive order and confirmation hearings. The one that we are most interested in and will be watching closely with our friends at the American Healthcare Association. And let me say one thing right there. The group that you work with, that you're members of, in the ACA, wow, what a just stellar group of people, highly talented, very well organized, and really are an effective group, lobbying and just influencing the shaping of policy in Washington, is our friends at AHCA and Cliff Porter, our new president. We kind of came in the same time, so I think we're kindred souls and have a great relationship. Look forward to getting up there at the congressional briefing later on this year. But we'll be watching that closely. They're monitoring the federal issues for us, and we're keeping an eye on the state of Texas. So, but we're going to see what happens with the nomination process with Robert F. Kennedy, the individual who's been tapped by President Trump to serve in that capacity with the Health and Human Services federal agency. I think that may prove to be the most contentious confirmation hearing that we have, which is saying quite a bit these days, because they all seem to be increasingly contentious in the partisan political world we all live in. But he brings a lot of, I'll at least say, controversial positions on a number of different issues, which affect a lot of people in the healthcare arena. So that'll be a very spirited discussion, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Listen, while I'm sitting there, I'm seeing a few of y'all pop in here. I'm going to pick on you, Tremaine Butler. Thank you for watching. So y'all log in, get on there, and listen. This should have the opportunity that if you have or want to put a question up here, I know we've done this in the past and back in my political life, that if you have a question or comment, you're certainly free to send that in, make a comment. Hopefully it'll scroll up and I'll see it. Bear with us for the next week or two or three. We're working out the kinks of our social media program, both internally for communication to members, but also externally, how we message to the rest of the world the things we're doing, the work we perform, and the importance of taking care of the elderly in Texas, and what we should be doing in the future to make sure we meet this critical need for this population that's meant so much to us. So if you have a thought, have a question, send it in. I'll also tell you, if you don't want to do it today, that's fine. But please send me an email or send me a text. Call our office in Austin at the THCA offices. If you want to send me an email, you can send it to travis.clardy, C-L-A-R-D-Y, at TXHCA.org. That's travis.clardy at THCA.org. And we'll address that the next time we have an opportunity to do this. So we're going to be trying to do this every Friday. We want to keep it a consistent time, consistent date, kind of do a week in review, and we'll follow the things. With each passing week, these will go a little longer. We probably won't go too long today, although those of you that know me know I can talk for a pretty long time, and if I get wound up and want to, but I'm not going to do that to you. But I did want to just touch base on the rules, that the legislative session continues to roll. I'm very, very pleased with the team that we've put together to work on your behalf in the Capitol, and the contact we've already had both in the elected officials, our state senators and state representatives and lieutenant governor, governor's office, but also the HHSC and their commissioner and the leaders of their departments and people who really are important in implementing the programs and procedures that we live under, that and hopefully we can have some influence to make sure that what they're doing makes sense and works and is going to better serve the populations that we have in our facilities. So that's what we have. I would like to again wish you to invite you to come to Austin at any time. That'd be best if you come during the week when we're actually in the office, but come to your office on 1108 Lavaca. Come by, drop in and visit. Would love to see you. Well, there's one that got me. Our first question. Congratulations, Cody Jordan. Can you tell us about the legislative priorities? No, Cody, I'm not going to tell you that. Great question, Cody. Yes, our legislative priorities, and you can see this. We've actually spelled these out and put them up, and they're on our website. And I think you should have received, members, our email bulletin outlining our priorities that we're focused on. There are a number of things that are regulatory in nature. I'm going to take this kind of stream of consciousness, not looking at the list, so in no particular priority here, but we continue to see problems around the state, and we're really visiting with this issue in depth with HHSC and its team, and to meet with them regularly, and they're good to host meetings. I will say that although we may not always agree with everything that's done there, it's a great group of people. They're I think they need more help. More resources so they can do their job. This is a regulated industry, as it should be, and we want to be able to work with them, not in an adversarial way, but in a collaborative way to, again, better do the job so we can take care of the people that took care of us. And so I think that process has really been developing and going well since I began my tenure here with the THCA. And so those regulatory issues that we have had some concerns with, one deals with some of the surveys and folks coming into our buildings and then doing their surveys and finding some problems. But there's been extraordinary numbers of immediate jeopardies found, particularly in comparison to other states. It's really statistically a significant variance, and it doesn't track other indicia, other findings, and so we're trying to run that to ground and do that in a way that is fair and gives everybody due process and opportunity to be heard. Part of that is what's called the informal dispute resolution, the IDR process. I participated in this on behalf of members as an attorney, and so I'm familiar with the process. And the whole point of it is when there's a dispute, you try to sit down and work it out informally and not take it to the next level. Like if you've been involved in civil litigation, whether it's like a mediation, it's a way to try to get the parties to come to some understanding. That process hasn't worked particularly well, but we're seeing, I want to tell you in an encouraging way, we're seeing some very favorable things. I think there's been some changes in policy in HHSC where there's been more deference given to the outside group that conducts the IDRs and some of the recommendations they make. Part of this is done in concert with our federal partners at CMS. But we're working through that because we want to make sure that if it's done, that it's a meaningful process where decisions can be made then, and again, to put things behind us, move forward, be fair to everybody, and also, we all know this. Mistakes are going to be made. People are human, but we want the opportunity to correct them, know about them, and learn from them. And I think that's what we have been doing and will continue to do. So that's another big issue for us, the IDR process. As facilities have changed hands, we've dealt with an issue concerning in healthcare, one thing I'm still learning new acronyms, but this one's pretty common to me. CHOWS, the change of ownership. And that's particularly relevant with our facilities to participate in the QUIP program, federal program, which funds a lot of our operations. And when those change hands, but there's been just a delay in processing. And again, I'm not faulting HHSC on getting that process, but it's a little unwieldy and can be, we hope, streamlined. And so we're making some suggestions there. We may be presenting those in a legislative format, because oftentimes, and rightfully so, agencies will say, we really want the legislature to speak on this and give us clear statutory direction. And that makes perfect sense to me. If we can do this through just changing internal rules or guidelines or in the agency's inherent rulemaking authority, that's fine too. But we're working towards that. And of course, the other legislative priority, Cody, that I would touch on, it's a priority. It's essential because it's the one thing the Texas legislature has to do, and that is pass a balanced budget. And within the budget are several articles, and there's an article that deals with health care expenses. And so with the health care, we're going to be watching closely the amount that money is budgeted through the Medicaid program and other programs that are important to us. One thing I'm hoping we're going to see is some workforce development programs. We've seen that in sessions past, but particularly to develop more healthcare workers. We know we need them. We know we want them. And to do that, we've got to be part of the solution to help develop and train, identify young people who have a passion and a heart for service to the elderly, and lead them in that direction, and where appropriate, financially incentivize them to do that. And so there's a lot of moving parts there. That's going to be a big part of the budget. And so again, very encouraged by both the House and Senate versions. This is the Senate's turn. They take every other session. It'll be the House bill or a Senate bill is the budget that goes to the governor's office for execution and review. But the both versions, I think, were very strong. If memory serves, I want to say it's around 337 billion with a B again in the base budget that's been outlined by both chambers. And when I say that, think about that, folks. It's a biennial budget for 2 years, but that's over $1/3 of $1 trillion. Now, that may surprise some of you, but that's also befitting of an economy that I think is about to be, if Texas were its own country as it once was, and I'm not suggesting anything, I'm just saying, if we were our own country once again, we would be soon to, I think, pass the next country on the list. We passed Russia, passed Spain, and we passed Canada. I want to say it's England, but don't hold me to that one either. I'll have to get my facts. But we'd be the 7th largest economy in the world if we were a standalone economy. So that it's $1/3 of $1 trillion budget doesn't really surprise us. So anyway, those are our priorities. Let me see what else here. Allie, thank you. Appreciate your comment here. What can THCA members and facility staff do to help? Well, one, you can be like my good friend over here, Jimmy Saunders. Jimmy, you can be engaged. One thing, be engaged in your communities. Be a good representative out there in our place. Get to know your local representatives, your local state senators. Get engaged in your local politics to support those people that are doing a good job for you. That's important. I've already mentioned, come see us and talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking. I think I'm going to do a good job as your president and CEO, but I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a mind reader. So you're going to have to explain to us and help us understand the issues that are there. In different facilities, different groups are going to have different issues, but that's why we're there. But I think we're all in this together. We all have the same goal in mind, and that is to provide quality care to the people in the latter stages of their life, and to give them, with integrity and with honor, with respect, and let them enjoy being in a safe, comfortable place. So that's something that you can do to help us. But again, be involved. One thing you'll be hearing from us, and we're forming committees within the THCA, which deal with various and sundry issues. But one of us is going to be a new committee. It's going to be on workforce development. I'm here at Willowbrook, which is an HMG facility. They have just knocked it out of the park with the program they've developed called HMGU, which is to work with local public schools and community colleges to develop professionals that then come and work in the building. I think we can scale that. I want to work on that. We've got some interesting things we're working on that we met recently with the THCA folks. We're down in Austin. I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we're going to be able to roll out in the near future. And in my mind's eye, and in my the perfect world I want to wake up in one day, that we will be rolling out a provider-owned network for our members, which will provide the ability to do more collective bargaining, if you will, of contracts for compensation for services that are rendered. And I think it would be really a important bottom line issue for our members. Reduce costs, but also help provide better care, better reimbursement. So, those are the sort of things we're working on while we're also over there in the trenches in the Capitol, talking to the members and the committees and the leaders in the state about what we need to do for long-term care. So those are some things you can do. But by the way, we don't have a monopoly on good ideas. And so when you're out there, you see something, hey, you think this is something we ought to do? Let us know. We're all in this together. So would love to do that. I'm going to turn over here to my assistant, Judy, because I've been talking for a while. How long have we been going? I told her, I said, we're not going to go past 15 minutes. Man, I've already gone 20 minutes, and I'm just getting warmed up. 20 minutes. So I'm going to bring this to a close today. We've hit the highlights of what has occurred this week. The House and the Senate will go back on come back to town. Folks try to get back as much as they can early in the session, because towards the end, after spring break, there's really not much opportunity. The fur is flying, and you just stay at your post and go from can to can. And but we're not there yet, so everybody's taking a chance to go home, take care of stuff like we've done today, to do the stuff that everybody's got to do to pay some taxes and pay some bills and get to your doctor and go to a dentist and all that sort of stuff. So they'll roll back in Tuesday. I expect we'll meet the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably not Friday. We'll see, and I'll update you on that. We will have a meeting Friday with our government relations team, our lobby team. Again, have an outstanding group, and some of them the Williams Public Affairs Group has been very instrumental and helpful to us in sessions past. We're very proud to welcome Jacob Smith and Longleaf Consulting on board with us, and then really appreciate Elliot Griffith and our folks at Griffith Communications who helped us get everything set up so we could do this live broadcast. So they're going to be helping us make sure we get information out to you, put it out there, and then not only to you but also to the world at large, to remind them how important the task and the responsibilities that we've taken on are, not just now but in the future. I'll leave you with this. And this is part of the message we'll be delivering to the folks. We can't wait until the ability to care for the elderly in Texas becomes a crisis. But if we don't act now, it will not be long. A matter of not a decade or two away, but in a matter of a few years, we could be in a real crisis situation. And it's not because we're not trying hard and working hard. It's not because you're not doing your jobs. It's a matter of demographics. I think it's going to be impacted by the recent wildfires in California. I think we're going to see kind of an inverse dust bowl where folks from California are going to be fleeing west, for a variety of reasons, and coming back to this part of the world. I always say inside every American, there's a Texan trying to get out. And there's going to be more and more people move to Texas every day for the last 15 years. There's been 1,000 to 1,500 people moving to Texas from around the country. That's not going to stop. I think it's going to speed up. We have a strong internal growth. We have a young population in Texas, but we also have a growing aging population for the baby boomers. Projections I've seen from THCA, and this is, I think, sound demographic analysis, is that we're going to see probably the population we serve in Texas in that 78, 84 age cohort of population is likely to come close to doubling by 2035. Can we reasonably think we're going to double our workforce? How are we going to manage that? Because we're going to have to provide those services, and they deserve to be treated well. So those are the challenges we face. Now's the time to do it. We've got the money to do it. I think we've got the right team put together to do it, and I'm looking forward to going to work this session for you on your behalf. So with that, thank you for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Again, let us know if you have thoughts on your mind, and we'll be in touch. God bless. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.